Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Callie.
And I'm Lori.
Today we are recapping Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2. We're bringing it way back since we finished the finale and our recap of the House Husbands. We're going to go back to the beginning of New Jersey, where it all started.
Yeah, so it's hard to watch it knowing everything we know now. And, it's hard to not have a biased opinion already. But we shall do our best.
I tried to watch it with new lenses on, like as I did when I first saw it, and remember what it is I liked about it.
Right.
So when it first starts, we start out with Caroline and her talking about her being thick as thieves. And the cast members in this season are Dina, Teresa, Caroline, Jacqueline, and Danielle.
Danielle Staub.
That's right. And we start out with finding that Teresa grew up in New Jersey with the big hair, and she was a Jersey girl, and that she has known Dina for 13 years. I was surprised. I didn't realize that they knew each other that long.
No, I think they met each other when Teresa was working at a department store in the makeup department or something.
Yeah, I think we find that out later on, but I don't think it was, I don't know that it was ever even mentioned on the show. Laura, do you remember that being mentioned? Because I know you rewatched the whole first season.
No, I don't remember. I don't recall anything about that, about how they
when we meet Caroline, Teresa calls her the mama of the group. And because Caroline is Dina's older sister, and we find out
11 years difference.
Yes, there's 11 years difference. And Jacqueline is their sister-in-law because she's married to their brother, Chris.
Yeah.
So it is all family. I mean, it did start out to be family. I mean, obviously, Teresa wasn't family.
It was pretty wild how Caroline and Dina, how many brothers and sisters they had. That's a big family.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like 10 or 11.
I think there are 11.
Yeah. And Dina's the youngest.
11 years difference. And Caroline's the oldest and Dina's the youngest. So her mom had a baby every year?
Ow.
That's what they did back then.
Right.
Ow.
That's what they did back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Caroline likes Teresa at this point. We see them shopping together. And I will be honest, Teresa, with just having 3 kids, she did have a banging body. She was in good shape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was in really good shape.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And listen, I give her that. It was surprising for me to see her because it has been so long since I watched it back then. But I liked Teresa when she first came on. She was my form of comic relief too, which is what Caroline called her.
Yeah.
Listen, the reason I watched these shows was I watched them for mindless entertainment. Just to forget about what's going on in my own life and watch somebody else's for once. And I like to laugh.
Watching people with opulent lifestyles, which is what the Housewives started as, I mean.
And, you watch it because it's a fucking train wreck. It's a train wreck.
It didn't start out that way,
No,
though.
it didn't.
No, but, all of them turn out to be a train wreck. All the Housewives.
But.
Yeah, it didn't. That's not why I started watching them.
Me neither.
I watched it because I liked to see the houses, the clothing. I like to laugh. I like to laugh with them or at them. But I like to laugh.
And Jersey was just so appealing because, and I watched all the other ones before it, OC, New York, Atlanta, but New Jersey was just appealing because that's where we're from, and they didn't start going down the shore until after.
No, it was
after
a while.
Couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Teresa's dream house that she's been building for 3 years. And because she doesn't like to she didn't want to look at other people's houses because that skeeves her. That is one line I have never forgotten. I remember her saying that.
She got heat about that at the reunion from Andy.
Yeah, because it's a horrible thing to say. I mean,
terrible thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the
especially
best is,
now that we saw where she used to live. Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, the best is now is that she's been to prison. So how dirty is that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
I thought about that when I heard her say, I don't want to live in a house that someone else has lived in. That's gross. I thought to myself, well, wonder how you'd like that toilet at the jail.
Exactly. And if you didn't build that big old house and take out fake mortgages, you wouldn't have went to prison.
Mm.
There you go.
If you did just buy somebody else's house, you wouldn't have had to go probably.
But
There you
listen,
go.
back then, again, I was rooting for her. I didn't dislike her. I did like her. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I didn't dislike her.
we see her go furniture shopping and pay $120,360 because she says she hears the economy is crashing. That's why she pays in cash. I mean, listen, she is no scholar. We know that.
No,
Like,
No.
no.
No, you know
No.
what that was? That was like IRS come and get me. I thought to myself, what are you kidding me? Who does
Yep.
that? I mean, it's okay. All right, you want to do it, you got the cash, you want to do it. All right. Don't do it on TV. What are
Exactly.
you doing? What are you
Exactly.
doing? And for me, it was very interesting because I'm going back and watching it. I hadn't watched it from the beginning. So these housewife shows aren't my gig. But so it was interesting to watch it, but know what was going to happen further down the line. So, like, you could see the writing on the wall clear as day
Yes.
in regards to the trouble with Joe Judice was going to be in with his business and his money and the whole. You could
Yes.
just see it. Whereas if you were watching it from the beginning and you hadn't you know what I mean? You wouldn't see that.
No, you just thought they had it like that.
right.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
Like the opening scene of when they show Chris and Jacqueline Larita's house and they have all their black cars lined up. You
Right.
see that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when we used to go to the family reunions at my cousin Rosie's house up there, and we learned from Gina, she did a sizzle reel for the show. I never even knew that. I knew she knew them, and I knew she went to T. Pasquale's salon, but I didn't know she did a sizzle reel. But when we used to go to the family reunions, they had all white cars, but that's exactly how it was in their driveway. Their white cars were all lined up: Lamborghini, Porsche. It was so funny.
Must be nice.
Yes, yeah, and they got it like that. So back in the day, you just thought Teresa had it like that,
Right. Right.
which she didn't.
And everything in her new house, her dream house, was marble, granite, and onyx. And like, Dina said, like, do you want to live in a banquet facility or like a house? Like, it's just so opulent. It really was over the top.
Too much. Yeah. It wasn't homey.
It wasn't. It was not. It was never homey. It wasn't.
That one
very
room,
sterile.
the family room. Yes, very sterile. Yes.
Yeah. And then we learn a little bit about Dina, how she moved in with her sister Caroline after her divorce, and her daughter Lexi, and that the people in the town didn't really like her because they thought she was a gold digger. I mean, I don't know.
Well, didn't I see or read a thing that Dina and Caroline married brothers?
Yeah, they talk about that in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Caroline's been
It's just-
married to Al Manzo, which I forgot how big he was when the show first came
Yeah.
on. And for 30 something years, and he has a brother Tommy who he runs the brownstone with because their father ran it before that, and he married Dina after her divorce from her first husband, Lexi's dad.
Right.
He's the one that just got found guilty for hiring a mobster to beat up Dina's current husband. He was found guilty.
Really?
Yes.
And
Yes.
breaking in and tying them up. Like Dina was
Oh.
there and witnessed it.
He
Oh, my.
hired somebody to do that. He didn't do it himself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing is, and again, I don't like to look at this, but all that Caroline, how they were talking about family, and that they always have each other's backs. And, even Jacqueline, like, they don't even, like, Dina and Caroline don't even talk anymore.
And Dina says it in the first episode. It's nice to know my sister's got my back no matter what. She even says it. And
I know.
She did.
I know. I wrote it down. I'm like, it's sad. It is sad. It's sad to where they're at today, because again, that was something I was rooting for too. I was rooting for that family. It was enjoyable watching them.
And I'm not a big fan of Dina. I always liked Caroline. Caroline was my favorite. She always reminded me of my mother. That's how my mother is. But in Dina's defense for not speaking to Caroline and Dolores both wrote character reference letters on behalf of Tommy Manzo, who was just found guilty.
Yeah.
They wrote character reference letters on his behalf to try to get him out of trouble.
I read a thing here. Someone was saying that Dina's marriage to her husband was a business arrangement, and that Tommy agreed to marry Dina on camera for VH1's My Big Fat Fabulous Wedding to help launch her reality TV career. For Al and Tommy, the brownstone would prominently be featured as the event facility for the wedding, which would lead to an increase in bookings. So
I believe it.
their motivation was to boost revenue for the family business. And the VH1 wedding special was taped 2005, 2006, aired in 2007, which was the same year Dina signed her Bravo contract for Housewives, New Jersey. So it did launch her career.
Totally believe it. I totally believe it. That was an arranged marriage for.
Yeah. The casting story is that Dina and Jacqueline were chosen for the original cast. Then Dina recruited Teresa, and then Jacqueline suggested 2 other mutual friends. Then when the 2 other friends dropped out, Jacqueline suggested
Caroline or
Caroline, and
Danielle.
production found Danielle Staub when they were at that Chateau Salon in Franklin Lakes.
Well, Danielle was friends with Jacqueline, though. I think they really were friends before.
I think that when Danielle got the opportunity to be on the show and found out who else was going to be on the show, that's when she befriended Jacqueline and tried to befriend Dina, and Dina saw right through her craziness.
Oh, that
But
could be.
Yeah, I think that the show came first and the friendship came after.
That could
I
be.
don't think they had a long-standing friendship prior to being recruited for the show.
Okay. I mean, I believe that. I believe that. You know, Caroline says that she lives for her children and her husband, and her career is secondary. I mean, at that point, she didn't really have much of a career.
Not to be rude, because I do love Caroline, but I thought the same thing. Did she even have a career? Because she never mentioned it.
No, I don't. I don't know that she did, to be honest with you. I think it was her family, which is fine. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
I did forget how funny Christopher was and how much I really liked Christopher and Albie and Lauren. I really like them. I really do, especially Christopher. Some of the things that Christopher says, like Caroline said, he's like, she never knows what's going to come out of his mouth, and he makes her laugh all the time.
I enjoy her kids.
I do too.
I enjoy watching her kids. Not so much Lauren. I just think that Lauren, well, I think it happens in later seasons, but I just think she was kind of like a spoiled little brat.
Well, she's daddy's girl. I mean, we see that in the very beginning. She's daddy's girl, you know?
Yeah.
And she's the only girl, you know? She's a daddy's girl. And that's, you know, listen, her parents have all this money. So I don't think it's a problem. I don't.
She doesn't seem like she's a bad person.
No, she's not.
No,
she's not.
No.
Not
But
like
I just enjoy watching the brothers more. They're more comical.
I mean, Christopher even says about Albie, he's like, Al is actually that good looking. It's not like it's the camera. I just think that's hysterical because it's true.
Funny.
I mean, his brother is very good looking, and it's obvious that Chris isn't, but he is so funny. He's got such a good personality.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Albie's
at one point,
and his wife are having a baby.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you know, he says he wants to be the face of strip clubs and car washes. And his mom's like, all right, well, just make me proud. Like, don't do it trashy. You know?
And I have that, like, she's justifying, like, that there are high-end strip clubs.
Yeah, why not? Listen.
Like scores.
Exactly. And then at one point where, was it in this episode or the next episode? No, I think it's in the next episode. Yeah, I won't get to it. It's in the next episode. Caroline also says that her kids are street smart people. You can go further with street smarts than you can with book smarts.
Wow.
I think she says that because
financially, but
yeah, I think she says that because Albie's the only one who went to college. The other two didn't, you know, they didn't want to pursue. And that's fine. Like, not everyone has to go to college. It's not for everyone.
Albie's college graduation party was in the first episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, we see Caroline running around helping everybody get dressed, helping Lauren pick out her shoes, finding this one's tie, tying this one's tie. Yet again, that's why I relate to her, because that's me in my house. I'm like, you know, I got a million things going on. I'm, you know, hostessing the party, and yet I'm still running around trying to get everyone ready to go. So
that's the way of a mom.
Like. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
in our lives for sure.
So then we see Dina's doing she is a interior designer, and that's also parlayed into event planning because she has an office at the Brownstone where she does that. So Caroline's kids work at the Brownstone as well. Lauren, at this part in the very beginning, is handling the brides for the weddings, and
She's a bride
Christopher.
bitch.
Yep, she's a bride bitch, and Christopher, I guess, is handling the valet. And I mean, I think Albie at this point is just coming in and out because he was going to school. So
Well, he was waiting to get into law school at this point.
yeah, and then I think he never got into law school, right?
He got in, we'll see it in later episodes. He got in, but he has a learning disability, and they basically told him, I think he was going to Fordham, and they basically told him, like, this isn't for you. You could try
Well,
a
he
different
got-
law school, but this isn't
Yeah.
for you.
He got put on like an academic probation because
Yeah.
he didn't do well enough on certain classes. And then they said, we don't think you have a future in this. But then he went to an attorney, and the attorney said, well, you know, you did tell them that you have a
A learning
problem,
disability, yeah.
a learning disability, and they gave you a phone number for assistance, and you called that. He said he called that number and he couldn't get through to anybody. And then he subsequently ended up like failing a class, but just by like 2 points or something. And that's how that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Then I think he tried the state police academy.
Yes.
I
Really?
guess we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then we see a little bit about Jacqueline. She is from Vegas. She moved from Vegas because that's where she met her husband, and he lives in New Jersey. And Franklin Lakes is totally different from what she was used to. That was the thing I thought was interesting about this first episode. One, the emphasis on Franklin Lakes.
Yes.
Literally, the town is a character in this.
Yeah. Except
It is.
Danielle lives in Wayne, and Teresa
never-
wasn't in Franklin Lakes either.
But they all keep talking about Franklin Lakes.
Yeah. And that's where Chateau is.
Okay. And where is the Brownstone? That's not in Franklin Lakes, right?
Patterson.
So,
Yeah.
she
Mhm.
also didn't feel welcomed. Like she didn't know anybody. She she knew Caroline and she knew Dina, and she didn't really have any friends when she moved from Las
That had to be
Vegas.
hard, huh?
Yeah, I can't imagine. And she was a single mom because she had Ashley when she was really young. Ashley's 17 at this point, and her son CJ is 6, and she's going to be having his birthday party. We learn about a little bit about Danielle, that she's 45 and she's not the hottest, but she's confident in her looks. I
don't remember feeling as bad for Danielle's daughters as I did rewatching this. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, because I was younger. My kids were so little.
Mhm.
Joe might not have even been born by the time this came. Oh no, probably but I feel so bad for those girls. Where the fuck was their father? Like, honestly, Danielle's first scene, she's like, so why do you think people get divorced?
I know.
Like, what? What are you doing?
I know.
Yes, she is not getting Mother of the Year award.
No, but she thinks she
No.
is. That's the crazy part.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she thinks being so open and honest with her kids makes her Mother of the Year. It's like,
No.
to an extent, yes, but not with that.
No.
I mean, she even says, which I find ironic and funny, you either love her or you hate her. I pretty much think it's, and I don't like to use the word hate, but I don't know anyone that actually loves her. I don't know that anyone, I don't remember anyone being Team Danielle. Do you?
No.
She's a very, very troubled woman. And what happens is that hurt people hurt other people. And she just makes it impossible for anybody to love her because she doesn't feel like she's deserving of love. So she just continuously like fucks herself. And that's what I saw when I watched the show. I was like, oh, you're a mess.
Was she adopted?
Yes.
Oh, how do you know that?
Because at one point I think it's season 2, she looks for her biological mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on season 2.
I didn't
Yeah,
see. I don't remember that. But I do know
Yeah.
that she had mentioned in the very first scene that we're learning about her that she'd been engaged 19 times, was a model at Ford Modeling, and the first person in the state of New Jersey to get a black Amex, even before Madonna. How does she
Yeah,
know when
okay.
Madonna got her black Amex? Are you kidding me?
I find it very
And-
hard to believe. Although if she was 45, this must have come out in like 2009, 45 and 2009, where it's a 15. So she's 60, Danielle. How old's Madonna?
Madonna's
It doesn't
older than
matter.
60. She's
It doesn't
Madonna.
matter.
That's
She's
what I'm
not in
saying. There's
any
no
way,
way.
shape, or form in the realm of Madonna world.
Right. That's
So
impossible that she
no.
had her black card before Madonna.
Well, she was talking, I think it wasn't her, it was her husband, because she
Right.
never had to worry about finances and she could have whatever she wanted because of her husband's wealth.
Right.
So I don't know what he did. Honestly, I don't even care because I just, I think
I
she's not
saw
a good
this-
person.
No. I saw this interview thing with her, and this is what she had to say. I don't have to try hard to get attention. Ergo, I was engaged 21 times. It's no accident. And 19 of those were before I had children. Why? No one has asked me. It came from me wanting to punish people that were abusing me. But the way I got them to ask me to marry them quickly is I said I was a virgin and I would not have sex until I was married. That will get a ring on your finger really quick. You can't do that once you have kids.
She said that?
She said it. I watched her say it. So I thought to myself, who were these fucking 19 people? You had 19 people, guys abusing you to the point that you would get them to ask you to marry them and then dump them? Because basically that's what she's saying.
I can't believe
It's
it's
crazy
been this
town.
long. And I've never heard that.
I never heard that
saw it.
either.
I watched.
And I've done my
watched
research,
her-
people.
I've watched her say it. There was a
Oh,
little
I
interview
believe
thing.
you. I just can't
It was
believe I've never
crazy.
heard it before.
Yeah, I wrote it down verbatim, word for word. She said, because I couldn't even believe what she was saying when she was saying it. I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!"
That's Looney Tunes.
That is Looney Tunes. That is Looney Tunes. So Jacqueline says that the way she met Danielle was at that Chateau hair salon. And within 3 hours of knowing her, she pretty much told her whole life, which
More than Jacqueline wanted to know.
Right, which I could definitely see Danielle doing that because she just puts it all out there thinking that she's got something great to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see Lexi and talking to her mom and how it's, Franklin Lakes is a very affluent town. And Lexi says this, if I had a fat old mom, I would hate it. What?
She got Dina got some heat from that on the reunion as well.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe that she said that. I was like, boy, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Lexi,
she was a little girl, but still.
Yeah, she was little. And she turned out to be a beautiful young lady. She really
very
did.
much so.
Yeah, she really did.
Very much so.
Then we see Teresa with her girls, and she's taking pictures of them outside before they go into Gia's rehearsal for her, whatever she's doing, her dance rehearsal.
My favorite thing is that Melania will be acting like a complete animal, and Teresa will say, Melania, do fabulous. And she stops. She stops acting like an animal. She puts her hands out and goes, fabulous. Like, Melania really was a sixth housewife for sure at that time.
Yeah, those kids were like, whoa.
Well, when they were in that boutique and they're at the cash register,
Oh.
I couldn't believe them in that boutique. And when she walked in, she says to the store owner, oh, do you remember me? I mean, if you had been in there one time, she certainly would remember you with these animals. Like, are you kidding me?
And that is no shade because Joe was a hot mess when he was little in a store. So I get it.
But she had no awareness really of even what was going on. Like they were running the show. They're running around saying, I want this, I want this. Oh, instead of trying to rein them in. She was just doing whatever they asked her to do.
Right.
I was like, oh.
The bulb is not bright.
No.
And I think at that point, think about her kids' ages. Like Melania was 2. I don't know
Yeah.
how old Gia and Gabriella were, but they
I
weren't that
think
much old.
I
I mean,
think I think Gia was 7.
yeah.
So
So what could?
Gabriella was probably 5.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
I'd be probably laying in the fetal position in the corner of the room at that point. Like, just put me out of my misery, man.
Listen, as a mom of 3, that I had boys though, a mom of 3, that all my kids were 2 years apart. So I would go out with them at 2, 4, and 6, or 4, 6, and 8. Sorry, my brain stopped there. So I know like how it can be, but I can just tell you that would have never happened.
No.
It would have
No.
never happened. It wouldn't have.
No. I
It-
would
it
have
wouldn't.
kicked Joe's ass and put him in the
Yeah, like
car
we
and
wouldn't
gotten him
allow
out
that
of
to
there.
happen.
No.
Whether there was a camera there or not, that wouldn't have happened.
And
Correct.
certainly not with a camera there.
Exactly.
I
No, yeah.
believe that's why she was the way she was in that store, because she was on camera.
No, I think that's how she is. I think those kids have always controlled her.
She's just very passive as a parent.
Yeah, she just
Yes.
wants to make her kids happy and give them whatever
Yeah.
they want. She doesn't know how to
Listen,
say no.
I will say this. I think that Teresa has always, I think at this point, right now, present day, I think that she puts her daughters in positions that she shouldn't as a parent for the show. But I do think that Teresa loves her daughters more than anything in the
I do.
world and will do anything she can to protect them and take care of them. But I also do think that she makes decisions that, aren't the best for them. And it's because she wants to hold on to fame.
Yeah,
Well, when
I
I-
agree with that. I agree.
When I watched the show, and like I said, I'm watching it from somebody who's seen future episodes already, and not watched the back episodes. But when I watch it, it's almost like she's such a product of Bravo. Like,
Yes.
this is all she's ever known. And she's not the brightest bulb to begin with. She seems
Right.
like she could be a nice person, a bit crazy, but this is it's all she knows. So I think that's why she operates the way she does, because she just doesn't know any better. Like, she
She's
just
so
thinks that this is
influenced by it.
normal. All this
Yeah.
drama and goings on and backstabbing and manipulation, because that's been her job. That's all she knows.
And Bravo has encouraged her to be that person. It's just like
Absolutely.
Brandy Glanville. They have encouraged her to be this person. They have. I mean, I honestly think Teresa and Joe Gorga can blame Bravo for the fact that they fucking tore their family apart. Bravo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Production.
for ratings.
Yes.
But they allowed it.
Yes, for ratings.
So-
But they allowed it.
So then we see Jackie goes over to Danielle's house to help her get ready for her blind date.
Oh, God.
And his screen name is Gucci Model. And she has been having phone sex with him for 2 years.
2
2
years?
years. 2 years.
And she never met him in 2 years?
2 years. Never met him. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a long
Ew.
time.
It's a long time. And then Teresa shows up too to help Danielle get ready. And, Danielle says that her girls love that she's dating because they like to help her get dressed and pick out her clothes.
Yeah.
And,
Ew.
she tells her girls everything, but not the phone sex thing, but they know she's going out on a date. And then Jackie and Teresa decide to go to the restaurant that she's meeting the guy out at to
That was
spy
funny.
on. Yeah,
With the
it was.
binoculars.
Yeah. I mean, and she didn't even see them, which I think is odd because there had to be a camera there.
She totally knew they were there. I wrote the same thing down. There's
Yeah.
a camera crew
Right.
in the corner with your friends with binoculars. You knew they were there.
Right. You
But
had
that's
to know.
okay. That's
Right.
okay.
But the fact that she waited, what did she wait? 2 hours or an hour and an hour and a half. So he was supposed to be there at 7:30, and at 9:00, she's like, "Oh, well, he didn't show." Would you have waited an hour and a half?
No, but those girls that she was sitting next to were so funny. They were like, "You're not calling him, are you?" When she called them and left him that message.
Yeah.
They're like, "You're not calling him, are you?" Yeah, she sat there and waited way too long. I
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
like, peace.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's never happened to me. Has that ever happened to you guys?
Never,
Stood
ever.
up for a
I
date?
honestly don't think I ever went on a blind date.
I've never been on a
Oh,
blind date.
on a blind date?
Yeah.
Oh,
Never.
yes,
I've-
I've been on a blind date, but I've never been stood up on a blind date.
I've never
I
been stood up or on a blind date.
I never
There
went
you
on a
go.
blind date, but I'll tell you what, I worked for a law firm in my early 20s. After my engagement broke off, and before Eric and I started dating, I was single for 4 years. So I worked for this lawyer, and this really good-looking guy owned a title company. His parents owned a title company, and he worked for it, and he was really good looking. So the real estate secretary was like, "You should go out with him." And I was like, he was a little too corporate for me. But anyway, he did ask me out on a date. And I was like, so we go to, Clark's Landing, but it's now a banquet center, but it used to be a restaurant. So we go there, and my friend Anne was a bartender there. So we're sitting at the table, and she's like giving me the thumbs up. And he sits at the table facing the window. And I swear to you, he was checking himself out the whole time. He was looking at
cringe.
himself in the reflection of the window the entire time. Totally
Ew.
turned me off. So we go home after that. He takes me home, and he lived in Long Branch, and he made a point to say he lived in a house with a long driveway with a gate. I'm thinking, yeah, your parents' house. But anyway, so that was like a Friday night or a Saturday night, whatever. The following Monday, flowers get sent to the office from this title company. And I was like, oh my God. They were for the real estate secretary for a closing she did for them. I never
Oh.
fucking talked to him again. I was like, what? Fuck you, bro. You checked yourself out the whole time in the reflection of the mirror. And then the following day after a date, you send her flowers and not me? Never talked to him again. That was the closest thing I ever had to a blind date, but that wasn't really a blind date.
Yeah, no, I've never had a blind date or been stood up. But I can tell you I would not wait an hour and a half.
I would not wait an
Hell
hour and a
no.
half.
Then after that, we see Albie's graduation party. And like I said, Caroline's running around trying to get them all together and ready. And Dina is talking about how Albie is the golden child and, everyone likes him. And she also says how we always have each other's backs, the family. Then Dina's talking about how Franklin Lakes doesn't have a center of town, so the hair salon is like the center, the chateau. I mean, how is that the center of the town? I mean,
They don't have a grocery store?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. And so they're having a girls' night, and she's going to the hair salon to get her hair done with the girls.
The girls' night that Danielle wasn't invited to.
Right. But Danielle feels the need to show up at the hair salon and sit outside. And Jackie has to say, listen, I don't mean to be rude, but you weren't invited, so you're not coming.
Right.
Just psycho.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
that right there, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a grown woman. You're not like
Flag.
busting in on some 14-year-old's like birthday party. You're a grown-ass woman.
Right.
It's super
Right.
cringy.
Right.
Yeah. So then they get into the city and they're talking about like going to Cipriani, and Jackie's afraid that Danielle will show up there. So she's like, let's not go there. She didn't tell them that, but she's like, let's go to a place called One.
I hope that there was a camera crew waiting at Cipriani's just in case Danielle did show up.
Oh, that would have been good, right?
That would've been
Amazing.
good.
Yeah. So Danielle is just like stirring the pot between, Jackie and Dina because she knows Dina doesn't like her.
Yeah.
Dina's made it clear to us in the first episode that she doesn't like her.
Yeah.
And
Well, because something happened. They talk about it, but we didn't see it. So this is what leads me to believe that they weren't friends before.
right.
Once they all got recruited for the show, they set something up where they all went out, and Dina and Danielle got into it. And Dina says, like, I think I told her I was going to kick her ass.
Yeah.
So they're, I guess this really doesn't matter, but to me, when you're one of 11 siblings and somebody rubs you the wrong way, you don't need any more friends. Let's face it. You got 11 siblings. I'm sure you got friends, but you're not in the market to be, making new friendships. So
You
it's
just
like,
full up.
okay, we don't get along, so
Right.
I'm going to move on to the next.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I have for episode 1. And then episode 2, we start out with Jackie is in the kitchen talking to Ashley because Ashley has like fallen behind in her schoolwork. And
Let me tell you something. I
She's a
didn't
hot
realize
mess.
how much I was going to identify with Jacqueline until this episode.
I
Until
know.
this moment in my life. I'm
Yep.
like, oh my, because I remember Ashley being like a pain in the ass, but I'm like, oh my God, like I'm Jacqueline, I'm right here with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, at this time, Ashley is the same age as our sons are
Mm-hmm.
going into their senior year. Like we're right there, like having these same conversations.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and plus she's got a 6-year-old and she's had 4 miscarriages. Like, you know, she's going through a lot.
Let me ask you something. If you had, this is a very personal question, but if you had 4 miscarriages, would you continue to try? If you had already had 2 healthy kids?
I think I would. Yeah.
I think I would too.
Yeah. I think I would.
If that's
I
what
don't
I
think
really
I would. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
If that's what I really wanted, if that's what my husband and I really wanted, then I think I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would too. So she's planning, you know, she's talking to her daughter Ashley. She's planning the birthday party for CJ. And this is actually the episode where Teresa takes the girls shopping and they're running around like lunatics in the store. And she even says to the lady, Gia and Gabriella are easy to handle, but Milani is going through her terrible twos. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh no, girl, it is more than that.
Yeah, it's definitely more than that.
It's an ongoing problem.
She's just a big personality. She's a big personality.
Well, a kid like that, you put a camera in front of their face, they're going to eat it all up.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. And even back then, because that's where they get the call for Gia that she's got this audition, Gia wanted to be a star. I mean, you know, her mother says she's not a stage mom, and her mom's kind of pushing this, but Gia wanted it. You know?
Definitely.
Gia wanted it.
I don't think that Teresa was making her do anything she wasn't totally on board with. And they were obviously doing that before the show started because she had already had an agent. She had already had those pictures taken. So that was already going on before the show started.
Yeah. I mean, she got the audition before the show started because you know, we heard about it that, you know.
Yeah.
So then what else? Then Jackie meets up with Danielle for lunch. And Danielle feels like she's close to Jackie, but she wants to fit in with the other girls. And she's kind of like asking her like to kind of help her with Dina.
Do you kind of feel bad for Danielle right now? Like,
I don't.
It is not at all, huh?
I didn't because honestly, I saw right through her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And the rest of them did too.
Yeah.
I might have been like Jacqueline though. I might have been like, come on, guys.
I think you would have been like Jacqueline.
I think I would have. I think I would have.
And
Kelly
and Lori and I
would have been like that.
And Lori and I would have been like,
she's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Get away from her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Kelly, you're super nice like that. So you definitely would have been like that. Me and Wendy would have been like, oh no, this bitch is crazy. We're not doing this.
Yeah, we're out. She's not invited.
Yep.
Yep.
And Teresa goes back again to the house that she's building again. And I think this might be when she calls her designer and wants to change the railings that just arrived. The wrought iron.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, does she have any idea what she's doing?
And
No.
she says, like, I love them. I think they're beautiful, but I want to go back to the other one.
Right.
Oh.
Ugh. I would not want to be working with her. I could just say
Can
that.
you imagine? Can you imagine how much money she spent on that house?
Well, it's interesting that Dina, her good friend, is an interior designer, but not doing the interior design of her house, right?
Well, because she knows she couldn't work with Teresa because Teresa's a lunatic.
Right. Right.
And as we see later on when she's doing her Ladybug event, Dina can be a bit of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they
Who's
would work
cracking
well
that whip?
together.
But I think you have to be like that to pull one of those. That was a huge event. A lot of
was.
vendors, a lot of moving parts. You kind of have to have that personality to pull something like that off.
I agree. You have to be on top of things and organized, but I don't know that you have to be snapping at your family members. And if you wanted them to work it, don't just assume they're going to work it. Give them a job and say, listen, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I felt bad for Jacqueline.
Well, because you would have been Jacqueline, because
Yes.
you would have been Jacqueline. And Lori and I would have been like, listen, if you wanted me to help you, all you had to do was ask. Stop snapping
Right.
at me like this.
Right. Right.
You know? I was
Yeah.
coming as a
Right.
guest. You want me to help? I'll help. Don't be a bitch.
Right.
Like, that's
Right.
what we would have said. And you would be
Right.
running around like Jacqueline. Like,
Yeah. They're like, what the fuck, man? I paid to be here. Now I got to work it?
Right. Me and Wendy would have
All
been like,
right.
stop your shit and just
Right.
tell us what you need done,
right.
and let's move this the fuck along.
right.
Right. Correct.
Let's see. Oh, so then we get to CJ's birthday party, right? We see Teresa arrive with her kids all dressed to match, and they're, she's got the carnival theme, and she's got the bouncy house and the petting zoo and the clowns and God knows what else. Yeah, I mean, it was a 3-ring circus, basically, is what she had going on in her yard. She literally had a 3-ring circus going on. And in the midst of all of it, Danielle feels the need to go up to her. Oh, Jacqueline, have you seen your sister-in-law, Dina? And Jackie's like, oh, yeah, she just came.
Wait.
Well,
But before that, when they're setting the tables up, and Danielle's daughter says, Danielle says, Christina told me that Ashley's having friends over.
Yes.
I remember watching that scene back in the day, and I was like, why is she inserting? Let me tell you something right now. If that were my house and that were my daughter, and somebody tried to do that with me, go up to her room and Eric would be like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, I don't know where Chris was, but he'd be like, this is our problem, not yours. You can go fucking walk away now. Like, he would never let somebody else, reprimand my kid or get involved in a situation like that ever. He'd be pissed. Yeah.
I mean, Jackie should have said, I got this.
Yep.
But Jackie just doesn't do that. You're
like,
right.
Do you want me to come up there with you? I would have been like, no.
No, I don't.
First of all, my husband will kill you. And second of all, it's my daughter. I can handle it.
Right.
But Jacqueline's like, well, if you think that'll help, like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
That was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You're right. That was totally over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ashley was being a bitch, and she shouldn't have invited all of her friends over there. And Jackie had a very valid point. She can't watch teenagers from drinking while she's got 6-year-olds running around and
they
animals.
Definitely would have been drinking.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's obvious. Yeah.
100%. 100%. And then after that whole incident, then that's when she goes up to her and says, oh, do you think it's okay if I go talk to Dina? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And then she goes over to Dina and gives her a big hug and is like, I'm sorry. I'm like, are you kidding
me?
We're
friends now.
Yeah.
We're friends. And can I borrow your boobs since we're friends now? What? I mean,
yeah.
She's a psycho.
She really is a psycho. She really is.
And you know who else is really a psycho? But it's like, she's like a closet psycho, is Teresa. When she flipped that table, let me tell you something.
All right, we're not there. You're jumping ahead. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But then even Dina says in her confessional, she's like, yeah. Dina says in her confessional, I think she wants to be me. Like, I'm afraid she's going to skin me and wear me like a Versace. Like, I keep seeing it in my head. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like, she's right. She is a psycho.
I think Danielle just desperately wanted to be in with them because we learned, like, there were a lot of rumors about her, that she was a husband stealer. She was this, she was that. Like, she just wanted to be in with them, but she doesn't know how. She comes on too strong, and that's just who she is. And that's why you either love her or hate her. And I would imagine that Danielle goes through friends quite quickly because she comes on way too strong. I've had friends like that. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. Well, listen, she was somebody who was, you know, a former stripper who married some guy with lots of dough. You're gonna
Mhm.
and was abandoned by her mother. She's just crazy insecure.
Yep,
Crazy
she's got a
insecure
lot going on.
to the point that it makes her behave like that's why she behaves like that.
For sure. Well, you're right. Like it really comes down to the insecurity of being abandoned by your mother.
Oh,
Basically, that's what it comes down to. So every time a relationship ends, she
it's another
feels that
abandonment.
loss all over again. And it's sad. That's sad.
It is. It is sad, but she is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe the Manzos should have been a little bit more um empathetic to that, but her behavior like almost prevents that from them being empathetic, because I think Dina, I mean, you see in the second season that Dina does try to be empathetic
Oh yes.
and open the door for her again, and it
But
just
like I
doesn't work
said,
out.
she's such a mess that she just cannot help but self-sabotage herself with her
Yes.
own kooky shit she's got in her head, thinking everybody's after her and, tramping around with little leprechaun bodyguards and Hell's Angels. Just stop it.
Oh
Stop it.
my god,
Stop it.
that's season
Stop it.
2. Tommy
Stop.
Provenzano. Tommy? No.
Bobby. I think the kid's name
Bobby?
was Bobby. Yeah, the little guy that she always had around with her.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
can't I think of his name?
I think his name was Bobby.
I know
There was
his
all
last name
kinds of
was
memes about him.
Provenzano.
All right. Well, when we get there, I'll write it down because I'm taking
Okay.
notes on each episode.
You
I'll,
do
Alright.
that, Wendy.
I'll let you know. Stop jumping ahead.
I know, it's so hard not to, though.
After that, we see Caroline's in the kitchen cooking with Lauren, and they're making sausage and potatoes. And her house is all are welcome. She never knows how many she's cooking for, so
And
she just
she
cooks.
says, how many pounds of pasta should I make, 1 or 2? You got fucking 7 people sitting at the table, Caroline. You make the 2 pounds of pasta. What's it cost?
Well,
Even if you're making the fresh pasta, for crying out loud.
I thought it was odd she was making pasta when she was making sausage and potatoes. Is she having pasta and sausage and potatoes? That's way too many starches.
I
Yeah.
have to be honest with you. If
Well,
I make
carb.
sausage, peppers, and potatoes, I don't make pasta. But if I just make sausage and peppers, I make pasta. So I
Okay, well,
agree with you there. It's a
okay.
lot of starch. But when you
Okay.
are cooking for the masses, as Caroline said,
Yeah,
perhaps the more starch, the better.
that's true. That is true. That's when they're sitting at the table. Christopher asks, if you could have 2 kids instead of 3, which 2 would it be?
Oh my God, that
Again,
was so funny.
I laughed so hard, and that is something my son Andrew would ask. Like that's a question Andrew would ask me. Like he
Yeah.
asks me crazy questions all the time.
Yeah.
And I like Christopher a lot. I would like to
Yes,
see
I do
Christopher
too.
again. I want to know what Christopher's doing. I'm going to now
Ooh,
stalk
I
Christopher.
follow his Instagram.
Oh, you
He's doing
do?
something with a pizza place. I think he's
Oh, all
running a
right.
pizza place up
All
North
right.
Jersey.
Okay, well, we gotta follow him on Rewind whenever, so we can see what he's doing.
Is Dear Albie still a podcast? Because I used to listen to that all the time. Dear Albie, it was
I
a
don't know.
great podcast.
I do not know.
And I'll tell you who one of my favorite people was on that they would have on, their cousin Candace. And prior to Melissa coming on the show, Candace was going to be a housewife.
Oh,
Caroline's
interesting.
niece. She's
Very
hysterical. But her husband, I don't know if he's a teacher still, but he was a teacher at the time, and he had his sights set on being in administration for the school systems. And they were kind of like, I don't think you want to get involved in this if that's really where you're
Right.
going.
Right.
And she didn't.
No, those two do not mix.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
So she chose not to do it. But she's hysterical on that.
I don't know.
It's
I've
a
never
good
listened to
podcast.
it. I'll have to see if it's still out there. I never listened
I'm
to
gonna
it.
look now. Yeah.
So then after that, we see Teresa brings Gia to her acting coach so she can, get ready for this big audition. And Caroline and Al have a sit down with Lauren about going to beauty school because they want her to have some direction. And, he says he knows someone who owns a beauty school and a spa. And, she's like, I like doing makeup, but I don't know about hair. Like, I don't want to touch people. Christopher.
Okay, just FYI, Dear Albie is still on Apple Podcasts, and it's current.
They're
It's
still putting out
interesting.
episodes?
Yeah, 3
Okay.
days ago was his last one.
Okay.
It's interesting because Caroline was like, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to get the whole thing. And there are just licenses for estheticians. So I don't know why, like, if that was really what she only wanted to do, like, I don't know. I don't know why they forced her into doing the whole, because it's a long program.
I mean, what is it, 9 months?
Well, I guess if you go full time, like I did it for high school half day.
I think it's a
9
month.
years, but
I think it's a 9-month program, and I think what her mom was saying is learn it all, and then get your license and everything. And she wanted to do makeup, not so much facials. So that's not, there's not really a license to be a makeup artist. So she was saying, get yourself the license. You can open up your own place because you need a license, or you're going to have to rely on somebody else's license.
Right.
Right. I think it was sound advice. I'll be honest with you. And it was, like I said, it was not, she's 20 years old. She's been off for 2 years. Like,
right.
Get yourself a license. What else? So then Danielle calls her ex up on the phone, and she's talking to him on her flip phone and saying how it's been 2 years and they still don't have a settlement. I don't understand that. How is she living in that house? He
must have been paying the bills on the house. He must have been paying the mortgage and the taxes on the house. And maybe that was it. I don't know. He must have been paying for something. She didn't work. And
I know.
Like, he must have been buying her groceries and paying her electric bill. She did not work. He had to be paying all the bills at that point.
Or maybe she was making money being a phone sex operator.
Yeah, like, go get a job. Like the fucking rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Except me.
Then we see Jackie's on her way to go to the fertility doctor. I thought her daughter was going with her, which I thought was odd because she's talking to her daughter on the way there, and then she tells her to stay in the car. Yeah. I'm like, well, why did she even come with you to sit in the car? I thought that was a little weird. The other thing I thought was weird is when the doctor came in the office, they kissed each other. And she said she found out about this doctor from Danielle.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a doctor, but it's not like it's been her doctor for a long time. And she feels like, do you kiss your doctor? I've never kissed my doctor.
I don't know.
Right?
I think I've kissed my doctor.
Never. Any doctor.
I've never kissed my doctor.
Am I the only one who thought that was weird?
I didn't even notice. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
Okay. Yeah. No.
I mean, I'm a hugger and a kisser, but I've never kissed my doctor.
Yeah.
Any of them, for that matter.
I thought that was a little weird.
Agreed.
And not any doctor that has anything to do with my vajayjay. No.
Right. Right. If you see my chotch and you're not my husband, we probably shouldn't kiss.
Yeah. No. I thought that was weird. And then Jackie starts talking about, she's had the 4 miscarriages, and the most recent one was only a month ago. And listen, that's tough. That's tough. Mm-hmm. And she wants to be excited about being pregnant, but she can't because she's so afraid that she's going to lose it.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah. And again, I feel for her. I definitely feel for her because I can't imagine having 4 miscarriages. I just can't. I can't imagine it.
No, that's what I mean. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot to put yourself through. I think I would be like, I just can't do it anymore. Like, let's stop trying and just see what happens. Let's stop putting such an emphasis on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Then we see Dina is interviewing this kid to be her assistant.
That was weird and very
so
cringy.
Weird. It was weird and cringy.
He was a family friend.
Yeah, I know. She's paying him in hugs. Paying him in hugs. I'm like, oh God.
It was so cringy. It was so
cringy.
Yeah. Then we see Danielle is going on this date with Steve, and her kids
Oh my God, I forgot about this.
And the kids are helping her get ready, and they're picking out her dress.
You could tell her older daughter wanted nothing to do with this scene.
Yeah.
Nothing. And she's like, they always help me. And they're like, and she's like, yeah, we always help you.
So Steve is 26 and she's 45.
Yeah.
And he looked like an old 26 boy.
He did.
right?
Yeah. He looked like a tired 26.
He sure did. He sure did.
And he was friends with Joe Giudice.
Thought that whole situation was weird. It was so weird. And then they go out to dinner at the High Lawn Pavilion. I've been there one time for a wedding. I mean, it is a gorgeous place, but the conversation she's having with him about going to the bathroom and having a quickie.
Yeah, like, this is a high-end place, Danielle.
Yeah, like, you're not at the diner. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I don't know. She rubs me the wrong way.
Well, I think that was just a booty call.
Yeah.
The whole relationship was a booty call.
Yeah.
On both
And
sides. I don't think either one is any less guilty. I think that was a booty call all the way around.
Yeah. And she was just doing that, like trying to get him in the bathroom to be salacious, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it ends with the Project Ladybug event at the Brownstone. And, you know, we see Dina is like running around like a lunatic. And
okay, so we see Jacqueline talking to Ashley. And she's like, why do you keep changing? Like, she's like, Ashley's supposed to be working. And she keeps changing. And then we see Dina going, she's fired. She's totally fired. Was she talking about Ashley?
oh, I don't know.
I know. I was like,
think
oh,
so.
I'd never put that together.
I think so.
I don't know.
I think so too.
Why she kept changing? I guess because she's a 17-year-old.
Yeah, but come on.
I know.
Just go fucking help your aunt and stop the nonsense.
Right. And then then Teresa shows up. And I guess she didn't expect to be working either, or she said she would help her, but again, didn't really know what her job was.
Yeah.
And then
Teresa did just kind of roll with it. She was like,
yeah,
okay, I'll do, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it all went off. I think she probably made a ton of money for her project. And she did mention that Danielle didn't want to spend the money to come there. So that's why Danielle wasn't there, because she didn't want to give money to kids with cancer.
Yeah, that wasn't nice.
And Dina also made a dig at Jackie and Teresa that they don't understand the stress of having a career. What, really? Was that necessary?
It wasn't, because I do remember Teresa saying that she had a career before she had kids, which, that's admirable anyway. And then you became a stay-at-home mom, no problem. But Jacqueline was a single mom in Las Vegas and did have a career as a cosmetologist and had a daughter.
Right.
So
right.
A young daughter, a little daughter. So that was a nasty dig. I was never a big fan of Dina. I always thought Dina had a very uppity, I'm better than you attitude about all of them. Even her own family.
No, I agree with that. I was never a big fan of Dina's either.
No, she was on that VH1 show, My Big Fat Whatever Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I totally believe that was a marriage of convenience. We never once saw Tommy on Real Housewives. No. Never once.
No, we didn't.
And she was married to him the first 2 seasons she was on. And then she talked about the divorce in season 6 when the twins from Colts Neck was on, right? Wasn't that when she was getting divorced?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
That was totally a marriage of convenience. I totally believe. I had never heard that before, but I totally believe it.
No, I do too.
Well, I was reading some stuff on, that's season 2. So we'll get to that later.
You were not jumping a whole season.
I won't skip.
Lori.
All right. That's it.
That's it. But I want to tell you I have 2 funny things I learned recently. I was out with my girlfriends and we were out drinking, as we do. And
did you see your favorite bartender?
I did. She wasn't our bartender that time, but she was there. So we were splitting. We split a slice of pizza in 3, and
one slice of pizza. I mean, I know they're big at the Sawmill, but you literally split one slice of pizza.
Yeah, in 3, and we get French fries with cheese on the side, and we get coconut shrimp. We always order the coconut.
Okay.
We always order the coconut shrimp, and 90% of the time we never get it. So I said, well, we might as well order it. Maybe we'll get it this time. Maybe we won't. So all the food comes out, and my one friend is sitting to the right of me, Pam, and Geraldine's sitting to the left of me. And Pam's eating her pizza, and Gerald and Pam are very much into their condiments, and they're looking. They're like, "Oh, there's no salt." I was like, "You don't need salt on the pizza." She's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. It's too salty." Then I'm not paying attention, and Geraldine asked the bartender to get her salt, and she's getting salt, and she's putting salt on the coconut shrimp. I was like, "What are you doing? You don't need salt." So I take the salt away from her, and I give it to the bartender. I'm like, "Take the salt away." Pam's like, "Look at us. We used to go out and we stop each other from doing shots. Now we're stopping each other from
doing the salt."
That's funny. That's very funny.
I was like, "Oh my God, this is podcast material." First, I have to write it down because I will not remember it. So I did. And then the other thing was we were out and she was telling me what I didn't know this. Do you know what strictly, like when a relationship is strictly business? Do you know what that means?
No.
I never heard of this before. Laura, have you ever heard of this? Strictly business?
No.
So strictly business is what we called friends with benefits. Now they call it strictly business. Did you? I never heard of that.
I never heard of it, but it does make sense. So it's just people who have sex with each other.
You know what? That doesn't make sense. That's friends with benefits. Why are you calling that strictly business?
Because you're just getting down to business. You just want to have sex with this person and nothing else. Strictly business.
All right.
I get it.
So anyway, I learned that. So I learned about strictly business, and I learned that at our age,
you're old and you got to fight about salt.
Our kids' ages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would think so.
And now we have to ask our kids if they know what this is. Well, I'm not going to ask Joe, but
I'm not asking my kids this. They already cringe every time they hear me talk as it is. I'm not going to ask them about that.
I'll ask Tess. We'll ask Tess tonight.
So
what about?
I want to know, how was Atlantic City?
Didn't you listen to the podcast, Laura?
No,
Lori. Okay, well, I'm sorry. We're not recapping it now for you. You can listen to the podcast like everybody else.
People have already heard about it, but we'll tell you separately.
Okay, good.
No, I'm not telling her. She could listen to the damn podcast. Give us a download, Lori.
What? I didn't listen to what I want to tell you.
Shaking my head at you, Lori. I'm shaking my head. For the listeners, I'm shaking my head at Lori.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens with me.
I know. All right. Until next time, thank you for watching and listening to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
Bye.
Bye.